you can never let up on your pipeline. So I talk about things like you have your sales development engine. You have to always keep your foot on the gas. I like to use the analogy, I went to business school back east, and we did a project for some of the industries that we had occasion to work with were completely different than California. We did a paper mill and we did a glass factory. So in a glass factory, if you ever shut down, you can imagine the whole thing seizes because the glass has to be hot or everything literally seizes up. So I like to think of my business development operations like a glass factory, and I always have to keep something going or the whole thing is going to seize up. And I see that so often in the consulting world. It's very tempting to just completely get busy, bury yourself in the billable work, take on too much work, and ignore all that networking, marketing, business development. So I talk constantly about never let a day go by without doing something toward networking, marketing, business development. Start with an hour a day if you can't. And I think that's something that applies, Ken and I were talking last week about what do we want to talk about today to all of us. Whether you're a CEO, whether you're a direct salesperson, you need to spend time every single day thinking about relationships and revenue again and what that means to you. Like every meeting is an interview. So there's all these little things that you pick up over time that are so important. And so I really try to instill that. The other thing I really like to say is in my early days too, I found networking very intimidating. And what's interesting about me, I talked about I'm an introvert, but I've always done a lot of performing arts. So if you give me a stage, I don't care if there's 10,000 people. In fact, until I got into college and just started doing music, I was a musician, musician dancer at that point. I remember my first college performance, and there were all these people in the hall like shivering. And I said, like, is everybody sick? What's going on? And they say, we have stage fright. We're nervous about going on stage. That's the first time I ever even heard about that someone could be nervous for walking on a stage. But you put me in a networking event and I immediately feel like I'm at a junior high dance. And I think we can all remember that, right? I have a daughter who's just graduating from high school. So it wasn't too long ago that, right, I had someone in my house going to junior high dances. I would go to those networking events. I would get my glass of wine. I would walk around. I wouldn't meet anybody. I would go home and I would think, I don't get networking. So I also really like to talk to people. Ken and I have talked a lot because of our workshops we used to do. A lot of people are scared of speaking. A lot of people don't feel the way that I do. They can get on a stage with 10,000 people and not even feel a nerve. Networking is hard, but everyone can learn how to do it. I don't care who you are. Every single person can learn how to do it. So we talk a lot about that too. And I also really like to emphasize baby steps, right? Just take one step, right? We're all here. One of the things that I love about this group is people are really friendly. And because Ken and Elaine and the SMLA team, I happen to know that Ken's networking philosophy is rather than what's in it for me, it's what's in it for them. And so that's the spirit, that sets this whole group, but everyone can learn. So in my programs, I talk about all the nuts and bolts stuff, but we really spend a lot of time about how to keep the pipeline full of high quality business. That's the biggest challenge.
No, that's great. Yeah, without question, I agree. And yeah, I remember when we used to do our workshops and we used that phrase rather than whiff them, which is what's in it for me, it was whiff it, right? What's in it for them? And we used to tell people all the time, you got to have that mindset. You've got to be thinking about what's happening with the folks around you. Especially just in today's day and age, right, where we can't get as often, we can't be in person as we'd like to. What's going to compel someone to come into a webinar on Zoom and take a couple hours out of their day to do it? So you've got to have that whiff it approach also.